Okay, just a minute. This is People of the State of Michigan versus Kyle Murphy, docket number 20-574FH. This is the time set for sentencing. Mr. Murphy, could you just confirm for me that you are in agreement with doing the sentencing remotely instead of coming into the courthouse?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Murphy, you were convicted of brandishing a weapon in public. That is a misdemeanor, punishable by up to 90 days in jail. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. You are represented by Mr. Weesey. And Mr. Weesey, have you had a chance to review the pre-sentence report with your client?
Yes, Your Honor. There are no additions, deletions, or corrections that I'm aware of.
Okay, and of course there are no guidelines because this is a misdemeanor. And Ms. Allen is present in person. Ms. Allen, did the people have any corrections to the report?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, and then there is a victim who wishes to be heard, correct?
Yes, Your Honor, Christy Nagy is here, sitting to my left, and she would like to speak to the court.
Could you, would you mind coming up to the podium so I can hear you better? And
Yes, I'll stand by.
if that's okay with you. And see you better. And if you would begin, please, by just stating and spelling your name for the record.
It's Christy, Christy, Nagy, Nagy.
Thank you. Go right ahead.
First, I'd like to say in this matter that at first you have to understand grief. I've written out a statement, but with everything going on, I left it at home. I'm very sorry for my emotions.
It's okay.
My mother passed a few days ago, so everything is kind of a little more on me today than what it should normally be. With that being said, back when all of this happened, that particular day, prior to it, me and Mr. Murphy had been getting along great. The weekend before, he had came out to my house. We had had great conversation. We had, I believe, started a new era in our co-parenting. The day all of this took place was also his brother that passed away's birthday. And I'm asking, Your Honor, that you take that into consideration and that you take the power of how much grief can affect a person. When this happened, not only was he dealing with the loss of his father, his brother, but also 2 weeks prior, he lost his uncle. All three of these men were people that he confided in, went to when things were tough, and loved. Back in 2011, we almost lost myself. And in 2015, we almost lost my son, Miles, which is our 5-year-old that was present. With all that being said, on that particular day, not only was his emotions, but mine were also heightened. I couldn't figure out why we had had such a great weekend and why he was angry. And in that, I have to take responsibility for my part. And that's what I'm here today to take responsibility for. As a parent, I should have seen what was going on, been aware of it, stepped back, and just left the situation. In return, I chose to follow him, and I chose to put him in a predicament that he wouldn't have normally been in. That made him react in a way that he normally, and I believe in all my heart, would never have done if I wouldn't have forced his hand. And with my actions that day and some of the things I said and I done, I do feel that I did that. And I do feel that I'm asking you to take that into consideration, that for every action, there's also a subsequent reaction. And in that, I've also taken steps to ensure that things like that will never happen again myself, with getting myself and my anger and my emotions in check, to better have a better co-parenting relationship with Mr. Murphy. So from my side of everything, you have my utmost promise and respect, Your Honor, that that incident will never happen again. Because I will not allow myself, as his mother, to ever put our child or let my emotions take the best of me. And I'm asking that you take that into consideration when you give your verdict today. That grief, if not for that, that day would have never happened.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate your comments, and I will take them
Thank you.
into consideration.
And I also have one other thing I'm asking in consideration. Mr. Murphy, because of the no contact order, does not know that I have a upcoming heart surgery that's going to be coming here soon. In the past, he's always been a great support person and always been there. I know that during situations like this, you normally wouldn't lift a no contact order. But being the circumstances and being that he has done nothing since the incident, if you would take into consideration lifting that.
So has he abided by the no contact the whole time?
Yes, ma'am, he has not done nothing.
Okay. Have there ever been any other incidents with him where he's assaulted you or threatened you or any problems at all?
Not like this, no, ma'am.
Okay, not like this. So not with a gun, but there's been something?
We've always had an argument or stuff like that. It's never been nothing where he's laid his hands on me, nothing to this extravagant, no, ma'am.
Okay. And have you thought about this request that you're making about the no contact and what it would really mean? Because if there was a problem, let's say I remove the no contact, if there's a problem, there's I can impose a sanction, but not an immediate sanction
Yes,
for
ma'am.
him contacting you.
Yes, ma'am.
If he were to assault you, I could deal with it as a probation violation, but I couldn't say, oh, you violated probation for contacting her. So you don't get a remedy that way is what I'm saying. And you're
Yes,
okay with that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I believe that he is, in the past, if we've had arguments in the prior, he's, Chrissy, you were wrong, da-da-da, and, to do his
everybody
thing.
argues. I'm not.
But with this, I've seen a different side of Mr. Murphy, the fact that, Elizabeth I'm sorry, I can't remember your last name at the moment. She's let me know that he's on his own, went and started anger management, done things like that. Even with my son, him coming home, first thing I asked him is, did you have a good week at Dad's? Did you have a good weekend? Even when my son comes home, he's always the happiest.
Mm-hmm.
So that tells me he is doing a good job.
Yeah.
Because if he wasn't, my son would say, Mommy, Daddy's, angry, or Daddy was this way or that way.
Right.
But he has been probably a better father since all of this and been there more for our son than before.
Okay.
So I really do, even though it was a bad day and a bad situation, I thank God in a way that happened because we both did need a wake-up call.
Okay, thank you. Again, I appreciate your comments very much. Did the people wish to be heard?
Just to say, Your Honor, Ms. Nagy and I have been in contact a lot through this case. And actually, it was her request for us to not even go forward at any point to drop the charges. And I understand the emotion and I understand the grief. And I think, the defining factor here that changed it was the firearm. Because we know in an instant that is the mixture of emotion and grief and a firearm turns deadly instantly.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where the people, even despite your request, we said we're going to go forward with at least something. And I think a forfeiture of the weapon in this case, which is required, will be helpful. And what really turned it for her was that he hasn't participated in anger management. I believe, Mr. Weesey's been a great advocate for him in that sense to get him started on the right path to do things to keep everybody safe. And I think we can go down that route. And I did explain to her, that was me that said, Judge typically will not lift no contact order because while on bond, a lot of times people are great.
Yeah.
But I told her she could express what she wanted to today to you as well, Judge. And so we'd ask the court to follow the plea, the agreement, the sentencing agreement as well. Thank you.
Do I have to order forfeiture of the weapon?
There's a mandatory forfeiture with the
Okay.
statute.
That's what I thought, yeah. All right, thank you. Now, Mr. Weesey, your turn, and then Mr. Murphy, you go last.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. And if Ms. Nagy can hear me, we certainly appreciate and value your comments. And kind of dovetailing on what's been presented to the court so far, the anger management and the counseling that my clients availed himself to, and I did bring verification of this to the plea through March 25th, but that's ongoing and continuing. It began February 16th, and most recent session was April 15th. And the things that they're working on in counseling are the emotional brain versus the thinking brain, anger and impulsivity, three major causes of anger, and very case specific for Mr. Murphy based upon the comments of Ms. Nagy, trauma and the links of trauma and emotional trauma and understanding responses to emotional trauma and how they are related to anger. So I am really very happy for my client that the proof, as they say, is in the pudding. And according to Ms. Nagy, the proof is there through their child, and that improvements are being made, and that this very negative situation has really turned out very, very positive in terms of the resolution reached with the prosecuting attorney's office, and really even today, and the personal growth with my client that's leading him to be a better co-parent with Christy and a better parent. Your Honor, I'd ask Your Honor to consider that my client is 30, you're 30 years old, nothing else pending, no prior felonies, only 2 misdemeanors, one of which was driving on a suspended license. Does have his high school diploma. He has served 2 days on this 90-day offense up front. With respect to the no contact and sentencing in general, the event took place in August of 2020. There's been no issues since then. The COMPAS evaluation comes in at low risk. And of course, my client's been in counseling for a couple of months now, 3 months, and seemingly doing very, very well. The case has been resolved, and I think that might help in terms of a no contact. The victim has obviously made her desires known to the court, and that's seemingly at least been vetted or discussed with her with the aid of a prosecuting attorney. And my client is actively enrolled in counseling and participating in case-specific counseling. So I think that those are also safeguards that the court could take into consideration with respect to the no contact. In addition to that, my client did move away 2 hours. He's living now, I think, in Hastings or in Berry County. Friend of the court's involved, and it's my understanding everything is going very, very well. There are no issues there. We would certainly ask Your Honor to abide by the no upfront jail, and we were going to ask the court to consider the possibility of no probation. I think probation is recommending 6 months of probation. We'd ask Your Honor, respectfully ask Your Honor to consider that. Financial resources are an issue with my client. He is currently unemployed. Or maybe if the terms and conditions of probation, if there's going to be some with Zoom reporting or phone reporting, that type of a thing, and just continuing with what he's already put in place with the counseling and psychological centers over there in Hastings as the treatment aspect of this. We would certainly appreciate that very much, Your Honor. Thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Thank you. And now, Mr. Murphy, your turn. Is there anything you wanted to say?
Your Honor, that day, I wish never happened. I love my son to death. I would do anything for that boy. I understand I should have just called the police. I made a mistake. As far as probation, Your Honor, my truck just broke. It cost me $1,300 to fix it. I don't have any more money. I'm paying for the truck. I'm paying for counseling. I pay, and I every Sunday or every Friday to get my son. I make sure he has everything that he needs. I've done everything I possibly can. I just ask the court to take that into consideration.
All right, thank you. Well, I'm going to speak a little bit to both of you because Ms. Nagy took a lot of this on herself, and I don't believe she's as responsible as she says. But one thing that caught my attention, she said, "For every action, there's a reaction." Um, Everything she said was right except that. I mean, that's true. There is a reaction to every action. But the point is, and this might sound familiar from your anger management, the point is that you don't want to react. Reacting is when you're doing something on the emotional side of your brain. So something happens and you react. That's what teenagers do, or children, or people acting out of emotion. That reaction is it's not a good thing. Those are not our rational responses to things. You want to have not a reaction, but a rational response. And you said it, Mr. Murphy, you should have just called the police. Yeah, or if she's taking the child and this is your court ordered visitation, then you deal with it through the court, because the court would address that. I mean, as hard as it would be, you walk away. Okay, I'm entitled to this parenting time. She's refusing to grant it to me. We'll talk to the judge. We'll go to court. That's the rational thinking through. Reaction is, I'm going to blow my stack. I'm going to, go to the extreme of getting a gun, threaten, whatever. So yeah, you don't want the reaction part. You want to be mature adults and do the rational response. It's reaction versus response. You want response, thinking it through, deciding what to do that doesn't get everyone in a bunch of trouble, instead of just knee-jerk reaction. So that's what I think that, I'm not a counselor, but that's what I think you both need to realize.
And I understand that, Your Honor. I just want to say one more thing. We have been around each other for the last 12 years, and we have never had any problems like this whatsoever. Okay, so I just want you to take that into consideration as well. Like 12 years is a long time. I understand exactly what you're saying. You're right. The reaction does not need to be there. Okay.
Yeah.
It was a mistake.
Yeah, it was a mistake. I mean, you both made some mistakes. I'm not putting it all on her. She's not standing here being sentenced for brandishing a weapon in public. You are. So I refuse to put it all on Ms. Nagy, but I think that is the lesson learned out of this. And she pretty much told me that you guys have not had any problems like this. And, I mean, you're still young, Mr. Murphy, but as far as the offenders that I have in front of me, you're a little bit older. So, I look at your prior record and there's nothing that would indicate that this is a problem for you. It was a problem on this occasion. I understand what Ms. Nagy has explained to me. I've never really, that I can recall, ever lifted the no contact on the day of sentencing. I usually refuse to do that, but I just think the situation here is unique, and I don't think that I have to worry about you, Mr. Murphy. So I'm going to abide by that request from Ms. Nagy, and she maybe needs some support right now. I don't know if you heard her, but she said she's going to have some heart surgery. So just remember, she's the mother of your child. She's precious. So I'm going to, and as far as the probation term goes, I know they recommended 6 months. Under the new law, Mr. Murphy, you could actually petition for an early discharge on your own after you did half your time. I told the probation department this morning, I am not going to let you off probation in 3 months if you petition early. So, putting you on probation for 3 months is like a waste of paper and everybody's time. So I'm going with the 12 months, and that's the reason why. It's because you can petition for an early discharge after 6 months. So, I'm not doing 3, but probation, don't get antsy with me, because I'm giving you a lot here, okay? Probation costs you exactly zero. The only thing you're going to be ordered to pay are the things that are by law required, whether I put you on probation or not, and I cannot waive them. So that's the only thing I'm going to make you pay in this case. I don't think that is unreasonable, seeing that I can't waive these by law anyway. And I'm giving you the lifting of the no contact provision. But I am going to place you on probation for a period of 12 months, 2 days in jail with credit for 2 days served. You have to pay $75 to the Crime Victims Fund. That's the one I cannot waive by law, cannot do it. And you have to pay $50 in state costs. That's the other one. I cannot waive it. I'm waiving probation oversight fees and I'm waiving costs. Those two I have the power to do. Additional conditions of probation are no use or possession of alcoholic beverages or controlled substances, and you must comply with both drug and alcohol testing as your agent directs. No recreational use of marijuana, no use of marijuana in violation of the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act. You must not engage in any assaultive, abusive, threatening, or intimidating behavior. No contact with anyone you know to have a felony record. You may not possess a weapon while you're on probation. You must contact the probation department within 24 hours. You must comply with the written and verbal orders of your agent, allow the agent into your home at any time for supervision, submit to a search of your person or property without need of a warrant, report any changes to your agent within 24 hours, make genuine efforts to find and maintain employment a minimum of 30 hours a week, and your probation supervision may be transferred to Berry County. Mr. Murphy, you have the right to file an application for leave to appeal your conviction and your sentence in this matter. You're entitled to an attorney at public expense to assist you in doing that. If you're making a request for one, you have to make it within 14 days of today's date. There is an appellate form that we will mail to you that tells more about that.
Your Honor, can I ask you one thing?
Wait, I'm not done.
Oh,
We will
sorry.
also mail to you the form that tells you about how you yourself can petition for an early discharge of probation if you're eligible. And that is all. Now, what was your question?
Your Honor, can I get no jail time? My mom is out there in Hastings. She doesn't
I gave you
drive.
no jail time.
You said 2 days. I'm sorry. I misunderstood
I said-
that then.
Okay, you're probably just a little emotionally excited today. I said 2 days in jail with credit for 2 days served. So that's the time you already did.
Okay. I
Okay.
apologize.
That's okay. That's okay. Just relax, okay? Don't forget to contact the probation department within 24 hours, okay?
Okay.
Very good. Do you have any other questions?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, you're all set. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you